Hello, hello, hello. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to our new series on the quantum financial system. We just ended a series that went on for a little over 2 weeks for the GCR, the Big I. So we're going to keep going on the same schedule, and we'll do our best to keep up with the information so that we can keep the projects flowing, because that's what we want to focus on, is getting the projects launched. There's been a couple people that have emailed me the projects that they want to work on, and that's fine. I did pass on to Tank, but the best thing is to go to gocamelot.com, and that link is down below in the description, so you can find the information there. My contact information is also down below. I have included my email address there, though I do prefer Telegram. I usually respond to Telegram rapidly, and you can even call me, and we can speak verbally through Telegram. So that is preferred. If you want to use email, that's fine. A couple of people have asked about the Kringle Society and how to get the Kringle coin, and I'm very happy to explain it to you and how to maximize getting the promotions, because it's about distributing coin and the value tied to the number of people that are joined, that is, and the price is attached to the price of gold. So anyway, I'm happy to explain any of that to you. Also, the Abundance Mine project, which is to develop a Bitcoin mining system that is using solar power or other renewable sources of energy. Those are my two projects that I'm working on that are in the technology realm that I've been focused on for the last 3 years, and basically to create an abundance-based economy. Coming at it, doing the things that I could to move forward, not waiting on the GCR. So for all those that are done waiting, come and participate with me as best we can. And we're going to now get into what the quantum financial system is. Now, I am going to take a moment here. I want to make sure that I send the link to Tank. Otherwise, he would not be able to join us. So he is going to come in about 15 minutes into the broadcast, so be able to do that. So now I actually started looking into the quantum financial system about a year ago, when the first rumblings of it started coming out. Now, I have a background in quantum mechanics and quantum engineering, and so it was very fascinating to think about this. I've worked with some quantum mechanics that were trying to use quantum specifically for teleportation of data. This was back in 1998, 99. So, talking about a quantum financial system was very interesting. So, I'm making sure that Tank has the correct link. I send it to them both in WhatsApp and in Telegram, just in case, wherever he said he make sure he has it. So anyway, so I decided to look up a little bit of research on exactly what is the quantum financial system in regards to what Kim is working on. And Kim actually has written an article about it from about the middle of last year. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to you. Now, it's in a few places. It's also on the Speak project. Tank just told me. I did not go look there. And that's projectspeak.net. Again, the link is down below. Please also register there. You'll get notification whenever there's a blog posting. Very, very good way to keep up to date with what is going on. So, okay, so let me go ahead and I'll pull up this this article here, share screen. Now I actually put it into a Word document. I copied and pasted it so that it would be a little bit easier. So, okay, entry submitted by Kim Possible, which also Kim Gogoyan, at 3:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 24th, 2018. So, middle of last year. To all my dearest all, many speak of quantum system for them people. I agree it is, by definition, in parts of the world most considered unknown, a quantum system. True quantum can span dimensions, draws from the past, time, and future yet to come based on its ability to map through time. It reads brainwaves, known intention is locked by DNA, living DNA, sequencing of the individual. Not one individual, but all. Your wealth within your code to DNA of an individual. In the case of nations, it is RNA. That's interesting. Of original source of said asset. It cannot go anywhere else. This is for security and safety of our human family. The way it is programmed, it is not possible for the elites to steal wealth from another person or another nation any longer. The system does not recognize any royal line, only the line of source, which is present in all of us. We are all sons and daughters of the only true king, that is the creator, God, source itself. Even myself, as I program the system to perpetuate with or without me, trust me, it knows my intent too. It knows if I'm under duress or willing to make a transaction. Even if I change my mind and try to allocate funds improperly, it will reject. So much for the 9,000 snatch and grab attempts. Cabal won't help a bit. It reads into all organic life forms, understands growth patterns, and lastly holds massive amounts of data in compilation of materials and sizes of grain of sand. Technology, not even a secret space program nor Majestic 12 has had access to, let alone currently antiquated financial systems you are calling quantum. So this system is not the quantum system that they're talking. So we'll get into that a little bit. Gone are the days of the data server centers the size of football fields. It calculates true trade values based on real production, not what the elites want and wants the world to see, but real production. As of Monday, the market revelation shall begin to occur. True production of commodities and their respective values will begin to unfold. This program was launched on Friday after business hours. Its power source is not electricity. It is not dependent on any grid, not even crystals anymore. Crystals. We'll talk about that. It is powered by the very source itself. Yes, the very source of energy that powers you powers it. It can only operate in the light, rejects darkness and evil intent. Each particle source courses through its fiber. Some of you may know it as the God particle, the fifth element or Higgs boson. Each particle is part of a whole. It connects to source itself. It connects to you. It connects to every living thing in the universe and in all of the other universes. Each particle is a small part of a whole, like any tiny network computer on a mainframe. It easily passes through time and space continuum. Think of all the possibilities if you could. Access the secrets of the universe through a small particle. CERN has made attempts to isolate and access this type of technology. Where they failed, we succeeded. The system has been running on full source energy for 6 weeks. At the point of convergence of the two torus concurrently flowing through this planet, it is an incredible amount of source energy, limitless and consistently regenerating. The same technology will power the global train. Wow, awesome. This works as a prototype, has already been built and tested. It knows no space. It knows no time. It knows intention. It is not source. It was not built to replace source in any way. It is currently harnessing and sharing this source energy with all of you until their original flower of light torus pattern can be restored. Essential for all our survival. Also, a far better way to travel. No need for unpotentium and not harmful to humans. It is the beginning of free energy. It works. Tesla knew. We know too. Millions of people die every year over oil and gas. The genocide must stop. Has anyone noticed the price of food going up all over the last month? It has by 20 to 30%. Why? Because the cabal-controlled CNN fake media reports oil shortages, and the Middle East will run out of oil, and the gas goes up. Temporary transportation costs go up, and so does the cost of food. This will no longer be the case. It is not possible to have shortage of oil because it is regenerating resource, and we have not even begun to tap the resources of Russia/USA and many other nations. Sometimes it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. No one needs the cabal oil anymore. It has become worthless within the next couple of years. It will become worthless within the next couple of years. To summarize, a quantum system has the capacity to map information sources throughout the multiverse. It is powered by limitless energy source, holds a football field worth of data sourcing servers, holds 5 eyes. You can Google that one. In a substance the size of the grain of a sand, accounts for intent via hyperpermeable brainwave. Counts for intent via a hyperpermeable brainwave component and identifies the individual via DNA/living DNA and origin of assets from the RNA/GNA. I don't know what GNA. Money is just a bunch of numbers in consistently running algorithm tied to the RNA or origin of its asset base, placing all proceeds into that bucket tied to the origin RNA and its people, living DNA of the original location. This is what is programmed to do. Cannot be stopped or changed until the task is completed. This is why the Fed, families, cabal, Chinese elders cannot register, say, assets of the USA, Russia, Africa to a server and say Shanghai. Yes, I saw you last night. See, RNA is not a match. Simple saves me a lot of time consistently identifying access. Hope this explains the new system which has been launched. Not going to be, but is. Not that it has mapped all living beings on this big rock. Distribution shall begin. It is impossible to steal funds anymore, even though the corrupt bankers may choose to try to steal from you, the people, and they have for many years. They can't now. The new system will look for living DNA of a person X, consistent though through the hyperpermeable component. If this is not there, nothing will move. There you have it. To all the cabal stooges reading this, I am not addressing any of you in IDC for the record. You can take your oil siphons, satellite diversions, and stick them where the source does not shine. Peace out, Kim Possible. Well, there we go. So that's the quantum system. So it maps everything and understands who is accessing and what is being transferred. Very powerful system. Well, let me speak a little bit about quantum. What is quantum? What are we talking about? Well, if you've heard about going down and analyzing things at the micro level, you get down to atoms, and then they went down deeper into atoms, and they found strange things, quarks, and all sorts of particles. That's why they built the large colliders so that they can analyze these things and look. But quantum is not down there. It is there, and it's also here, and it's also up there. If you go to the macro, if you go beyond the planets, beyond the solar systems, beyond the galaxy, out to the universe, what is beyond the universe? Everything is basically, it consists in an environment where everything exists, all energy exists, and is all connected. At that level, there are things that are happening that are known as quantum. So those things, when they connect, so for example, if let's say that you had a nice crystal glass sitting on a shelf, and it got knocked over, and it shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. Each of those pieces is still connected in what is called a quantum entanglement. It knows because in the past, when we know it as a one whole, it had a connection. It was connected. Even though we see in our looking at it now is that all these pieces are separate, there is still a relationship. That relationship is known as a quantum entanglement. So it doesn't matter where you are, this quantum entanglement is always going to exist. We're looking at things through time. So we always reference from a point here in time to here in time, which is a linear progression. That's just a way for us to explain things. It's not the whole of everything, it's just a piece of everything. So when you're looking at these, at this relationship that exists, if I was now to take one of those pieces of crystal and let's say take that to the other side of the universe, not the other side of this planet or the other side of the solar system or the other side of the galaxy, the other side of the universe, as far as possible you can make it, or halfway as far. The relationship still exists. It doesn't matter the time or the space in which those things are. The relationship, the entanglement still exists. There is that relationship because it had a relationship and where that relationship was. So it always will exist. So back in the late 90s, and I was working with a friend of mine who, for a year, I didn't find out he was in the Black Ops community. He never really fessed up, but he kind of implied, and I ended up finding out. But he was working on the Hubble 2. If you've never heard of the Hubble 2, it's because it's not known. It's secret. Shh. Yeah, am I blowing it now? Am I letting things out of the bag? So the Hubble 2 intent was to go outside of the solar system. And when it got there, it was going to map the whole galaxy, a 360-degree view from that point. It had to get outside of our solar system to remove the distortions. So that's what's its intent. But they had a problem. how are they going to communicate? They couldn't wait, years and decades for the information to fly back and forth on some radio wave. So what did they do? They had to come up with an instantaneous form of communication. Well, that meant quantum teleporting of data. So how do you teleport data? Well, I talked about that crystal glass breaking, and then all those pieces, no matter where they were, there was still a relationship. So let's say you were to take another form of crystal, say a manufactured diamond. If we're going to manufacture, right? Now let's say we're going to grow a diamond and make it grow long and thin. Actually, just down to the point we're just talking about molecules that are connecting one right after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, after, make a long line. And let's just say we just start slicing as they come out, as they're extruded, at the point where there is an electron in the outer orbit that is basically in an orbit. So there's two electrons in an orbit. If you're basically slicing it, where one of the electrons is going to go on one side and the other electron is going to go on the other. That's some precision, isn't it? So we're going to separate these crystals out, and there's going to be a relationship between each of these crystals. In fact, they're all connected. And in fact, they will always relay what was happening with one of them. So if you were to, let's say, influence the electron, that influence would give what would we call an opposite spin. So let's say one of them was spinning up and the other one was spinning down. The relationship always existed at an instantaneous function. It was not something that was like, it wasn't I start spinning and this one a moment later starts spinning. No. They spin in an opposite direction at the time in which they're actually were influenced. That does not matter the time or the space involved. So if you were to break off these little crystals and put them in, let's say, a computer, and send that computer to the other end of the universe, and I was to, just alter that back and forth of that electron, I could literally have the opposite effect happening to the other crystal, no matter where it was in the universe. In essence, I would be teleporting data. We're using the word teleport just as a function. It really just exists. That data exists in the state, no matter where those crystals were. So this is a way to teleport data, and everything can be expressed as data, including you. You could actually be teleported in this fashion. So the way in which quantum is looking when we look at quantum, we have to look at it from the standpoint that there is no time or space involved. It just is. So when the quantum financial system is talking about mapping everything, it's not like it has to take time to do it. It just is. And when you want to transfer from this to there, space makes no difference. There is no here and there. It just is. So this is a little difficult for us, to visualize, because we always have to break it down into something a little bit more simpler, say in a linear fashion. So when we express when we're going to have a transfer of funds in a quantum system, we're basically just having it exist in someone's account. There was a debit here and a credit here. And when we also are talking about its energy source, the source energy, we're talking about energy that is basically at the quantum level as well. It's the basis of all of everything. So why not use that energy? So I know that we have the Galactic Unicorn has joined us. Come in, Galactic Unicorn.
Greetings, Ascended Masters. Yeah, good topic tonight. I like that. It's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I did. I did read that article that I told you about. I said it was available on the Speak Project. I put it into a Word document and went through it. Sorry, I've picked up a little bit of a cough, sore throat over the last day, so excuse me. Tank, do we have any news for the quantum financial system? So this is the first day of our quantum financial system show, our broadcast.
Yes, we do. So the system was launched yesterday by Kim. Now, I will say to lead into your point, right? To have this make sense, because I don't want people to be confused. So the idea, the concept, right? We are in a third dimensional world, right? So we are limited by time and space here, right? And here only. And what is beautiful and amazing about time and space is that it allows you to appreciate the entire creative process, right? And that includes the ups and downs, the pains and triumphs, all of these things. And that's part of the reason why it's done this way. So, that being said, we do have to go kind of by time. Uh, and the great news is that the launch of Kim's system was successful, and the banks can now see the money has hit our accounts and it's there and visible. And she had one more piece to overcome, which was to bring it down to the teller level, right? So once it's at the teller level, her exact quote to me was tonight. She was just waiting to hear back. She had figured out how to do it, and she had implemented that. She was waiting to hear back from her people to confirm it. More than I mean, she knows it's already done, I'm sure, but she's waiting for it to be confirmed. And she told me that once that's done, we are golden, is what she says. Her exact words. So I would
Awesome.
say, based on the quantum physics that you just explained in great depth, um, it's already done. You know, it's already done. We're just
It's
it's like
always
what
it
Einstein
was
said.
always done. It was
What
always done.
what did Einstein say?
It's always been done.
Time is just an illusion that's postponing the things that have already occurred. So we're just waiting for that to take place.
Yeah. One of the things
So
that for those that are math oriented out there and you're doing equations, time and distance drop out of the equations when you're doing the math. Fifth dimension, and you start moving up, the uh, it, the functions of time and space are just canceled out in the equation. That's why they don't matter. So things just are at that point. Little,
you know
little
what I love.
side math.
So the split test, right? Like how that works.
Yes. Hmm.
So I feel like the split test is such incredible science, right? That like you'd think this would be taught in schools, right? Because imagine how different the world would be if we understood that. Look, well, for people who aren't familiar, right? So basically, they have this, they're throwing atoms at each other, right? And the scientists are observing the protons flying down this tunnel, right? And there's a barrier in the middle of the tunnel. And so each time it goes down, as the scientist observes, he records it each time. It goes down. The first time it goes left, and then it goes right. It hits the middle. And each time one of these options occurs, it goes left, it goes right, it goes middle. Just as they expected, completely random. This always happens. This is what they observe nonstop. When
But I
they
expect something different.
well, well, then all options you can. So yeah, you can. I'm sorry. So, but when you
Sorry,
remove,
I threw a new variable into the
yeah,
equation. I'm sorry.
yeah, Dan was not there. That's the truth. If he would have been there, it could have been a different outcome altogether. But so when
Well, that's true.
they remove the scientist altogether from his observation, and they just record the same thing happening. They every time they have an anomaly. Now, if you have an anomaly every time, it's called reality, right? So the reality that was taking place is every time the proton would come down, it would split into three parts, three equal parts. In other words, three different things would happen simultaneously. It would go left, it would go right, and it would hit the middle every single time. That's when there was no observation, there was no influence from the expectations of the scientist. Now that's
Exactly.
scientifically
And that's
proven.
why if I was there and expected something else,
Right.
it would have
The
actually been
magnified
something else.
now, if Dan and I were both there and all we did was like it's going right every time and we knew it, that's what
That's
would
it.
happen, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
sheer power of our expectation on you know the protons would change the direction.
But, but if you thought it was going left and I thought it was going right, it would for
Now,
each of us.
now the deeper reality is in reality, because you're creating your own reality. In my world, it would always go left. And Dan's world, it would always go right. And there would be another
Yeah,
world where,
you don't see it, man. It's going right.
yeah.
No, it's going left.
And therein lies the idea of infinite timelines with infinite possibilities taking place at all times simultaneously. So,
That's it. All explained in 5 minutes. There we go.
yeah. It's like physics for regular people. I hate to say dummies. I feel like it's such an
Yeah,
insulting way to talk about things, but you know.
yeah.
But
I'm
yeah,
a dummy about a lot.
I was gonna say physics explained by dummies. Maybe that works better. It's not so
Yeah,
insulting to other people. Yep.
yeah.
So go ahead.
I have another kind of an example that I've liked to use along the lines of it has to do with the principle of indeterminacy. And what the principle of indeterminacy states is that something is not determined until that moment in time that it needed to be determined. But at the time that it was determined, it always was that from the beginning of time forward. So now to explain, let's say we have a laser, and this laser is going to start at point here and then end up over here. And when it fires and it's heading this direction, it's either a wave or a particle. Particle. So it's the light of a laser is either in the form of waves or particles. So what is it? Well, when it hits here, it is determined what it was from the time it was sent out. So, for example, if what it's hitting is say a white wall, it's going to reflect. It's going to bounce off because it's going to this reflection is going to mean that it needs to be a wave so that it can bounce. Now, if it was a black wall, the laser when it hit, it would want to be absorbed, and so it would be particles that would absorb, and heat would have been transferred. So, what was it? Was it either a wave or a particle? Well, it was only determined when it was done, but that's what came out of the laser back in time, a wave or a particle. This is another so it's not determined until then. Now I used to use this example in describing Jesus dying for us on the cross. So, when were we saved? So I know we had talked about this earlier with another term, but in regards to this physics or quantum type of conversation, we'll go with this. So when Jesus died on the cross in this example, the act of him dying caused everyone in Abraham's bosom to be saved from the beginning of time forward, but it wasn't determined until that point. So it's just another example to represent, an idea of how things actually are functioning in a more what Einstein called spooky way. Yeah.
Ah,
And Einstein said, spooky things are going on at that level.
it's true, right?
Yeah, it's
Well,
just
it's actually written in the Old Testament. It says Yahweh hath or God hath saved us, and the word hath, even though we want to chalk it up to just Old English, it's actually past, present, perfect tense, meaning it's happening in all directions at all times. So it was determined before, and then it happens in reality, and then it's already predictive of the future.
So for
Right.
us
So
not to know that means that we've been dumbed down not to understand that things can happen simultaneously throughout time and space, right? Because we don't use the word half.
right, we don't use the word half, right? Because we don't speak about things in that way, and by keeping us on a a strict version that we perceive as the only reality, then ultimately you can dictate what happens if I hold you in this pathway. You know, I'll give you an example that's, for people that are visual. Now, we take the number eight, right? Now, we take the number eight and we say number eight is infinity, right? Now, if you look at a number eight and you just follow that track in your mind, if you just allow like a pulse to go up around to make the number eight. Now, that infinite or that version of infinity, it is a repeating pattern that will always stay on the same track. And it repeats over and over and over again, reinforcing the exact same track. It's infinite. Now, the way creation works, when you understand it more completely, right? You would take a nine. Now, imagine a nine like the spiral that Tui described, right, from the very beginning, in Fiji, like the beginning of creation. So imagine a spiral kind of out in the midst of the, above us. And just lay it flat on a piece of paper in a two-dimensional reality. So you have this spiral, and then you pull it down. It spirals, then it pulls out to make a nine. And we'll say that where that nine lands, it hits the earth. Now, from the earth, imagine a spiral that starts in Fiji, and that spiral goes around, and then it goes up, and it doesn't connect with the path from the nine, but it runs right alongside it, right? So it creates a space in between the two places, and that's a six. Now that when that six goes up, it goes up into an infinite reality, right? It's energy being returned back to the ultimate source with an infinite amount of potential energy having been created, and thus now has an unlimited future. Now this now you put those two together and you have a nine and a six, right? And they look just like a number eight if you stack them the right way, right? But instead of having a set pathway, you have an infinite number of pathways. Now, with that, a 96, right? What that is the difference between the two of them. Now, you have three. Now, this is where Tesla talked about 369.
Mm-hmm.
If you could understand the mysteries of 369, you could understand the mysteries of the universe. So, what you have happen is in between the nine and the six, the difference is so that's
Oh, I lost you. You're muted. The mysteries of 369. They say he tried to reveal the secrets and now he's been cut off.
six
Are you
nine, right?
back?
So, yes,
Are
I
you
am.
back?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Well, you disappeared. You went muted actually for a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So let me come back. So the six, right, from the bottom would be like the energy, the same source energy or God energy, right, being generated from Gaia, from Earth, from us, right? Just like Tui said, that we are the Earth, right? We're that same energy. So that is that symbol of that energy coming from below, right, and being generated from us, right, and that we are the source. And the nine is the source from above, or that God, or you know uh, whatever you want to call it, it's from above coming down into the earth, right? So they have a symbiotic relationship, and the difference between those two is three, and that's where you get this. Everything in the third dimension is threefold in nature, right? So everything that you can conceive of that you can put your hands on, right? An atom is a proton, a neutron, an electron. A cell is a nucleus, nucleolus, and a cell body. You have um, death, burial, resurrection. All these principles, everything in the creation. You're a head cavity, chest cavity, and abdominal cavity. All these different pieces everything in the world will come back to a threefold pattern, right? In its kind of simplest basic state. And that idea, it really, it uses good science to show how this is really how we're creating all the time. And this is also, it also backs up the idea of we are individuated or individual kind of sourcelings, right? Like what the smallest quantum particle of the greatest, you know, ultimate source of God, right? We are this individual quantum particle, the smallest particle, and we have the equal potential and the equal amount of energy existing right within us. So our perception, our thoughts, our words, our actions, they all have so much power, and they literally create the reality we live in. So
Yeah. Literally.
literally, I mean, you know, I say it all the time. You know, I think about these moments because everybody has these moments, right, where they've done this, where they've held an intention and they've literally felt the joy of something before it's happened, right? I I got in seventh grade. I got bullied. I didn't grow yet. I got bullied that year, and I wished I had a twin brother because you know, like, I felt like I was all alone when I was seventh grade. It was terrible, right? So I told every girl I ever dated from the seventh grade on that I was going to have twin boys one day, right? Because I always wanted my sons to have someone who would have their back, you know, and always have each other to look out for each other. I mean, I told everybody that my whole life. I will never. Now, I don't have twins in my family, and the mother of my kids, there's no twins in her family. But when I called my parents and told them we were having twins, they could not believe it. I held that vibration for uh, 18 years before it came into a reality. But but it did. It happened. So
That's amazing.
yeah, I know.
Well, congratulations on
Yeah,
your
thanks.
twins.
But I mean, we all have those. We all have those things happen all the time, right? And some people, you know, just think they're lucky. But in reality, it's we expect things to go our way most of the time. And if we're honest, most of the time things really do go our way, right? You know, we expect our heart to beat in the morning. And you know what? So far, we've been right every single day. It just happened, right? So much so we just take for granted. We just know it's going to be working, right? Like there's tons of evidence to show how people, and it works the other way too, right? So one of the high the profession in the medical field who has the highest rate of cancer is nurses who work with cancer patients because they're completely consumed with fighting cancer. So because they're always focused on cancer, fighting cancer, they actually end up literally like a virus catching cancer, but it's not from, you know, not being contracted on a viral level. It's just literally causing the very same blockages because your body responds
I
to the
had a, I
environment
had a
that you
cousin
create.
that had that same thing. She was a nurse, and she was in always taking care of people with cancer. She ended up with cancer. Oh, interesting. Yeah, never thought of it as that way, but yeah, I see that. I see what that how that can happen. So,
Yeah, it's actually written in this book, Elohim, the Archetype Original Pattern of the Universe, and and it's written by Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, and he actually says in this book, and it's incredible because he shows the tabernacle, just the way the tabernacle pattern that's written about in Exodus, and he breaks up the human body exactly in correlative fashion to show how everything in the human body is in the tabernacle, right? And exactly, I mean, the function of it, I mean, down to, you know, they use three kinds of skins, animal skins on the outside of the tabernacle. Like we have three layers of skins, and, you know, there's an altar of sin sacrifice where something had to die for the people to live, and it's four-sided with 4 points of blood, and your intestines has a ascending, descending, transverse, and sigmoid colon, and on each one of those places, the blood rushes in to digest, to aid in the digestion. So you have 4 points of blood on your four-sided intestines, right? And they, in every single part of the tabernacle, you can lay it side by side like a blueprint, and they match up perfectly, right? And you know that, and now you can imagine if that's true. I mean, what kind of a incredible magic. Now this is what Tui's been talking about us being one body, right?
Yes. Well, I was thinking also, while you were talking that uh, on the island Fiji, right? They're not concerned with business, the Fijians, right? And that they're, that they're what we call work and what people, jobs and those institutions that we create and put there to perform a function. They're not in alignment with the people in Fiji, right? And but at the same time, the people in Fiji have always been able to, let's say, feed themselves, create food, do things within, that they have considered important. So, I always look at the when they talk about if everyone has so much money, no one would work. I think of like, well, people will do what they need to do, to create a life that they want. And so whatever that ends up being, whatever it changes into our perspective about what it is, what's important and not, will change with this shift in our attitudes about things. Not to say that we won't have chains of restaurants, but maybe those chains of restaurants will really be healthy.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, water everywhere and not a drop to drink. You know,
Yeah.
you can.
Oh, you're muted again. Hello, hello. All right. Well, we lost Tank again. I don't. Oh, you're back.
You hear what I
Hello.
had to say?
No, you keep going on mute. I don't know why. And then about
I'm sorry. Yeah, I people keep calling me because even though we're broadcasting live for some reason,
ah,
apparently they don't know. So sorry about that.
it's okay. So
Um,
now I understand. So we got it. So if that happens, we'll know that someone's just interrupting the flow because your phone is. I mean, it's probably WhatsApp.
yeah, yeah. So basically, I mean, you could take somebody who's dying of thirst and give them a glass of water, right? Save their life. You could take somebody who's dying of thirst and and dunk them in the ocean and they drown, right? Like it's there's a balance, there's a homeostasis that everything looks to maintain, and it's better with everything to be in alignment with that, you know, and allow things to distribute and disperse naturally. So that's really what this is all about with the project funding, right? Is there's a natural supply and demand. Now you have another principle with that with the body, right? You take the human body and you can put all this energy into it, and put all this energy into it, and what happens is you essentially make the body a prison, right? By causing obesity and really ravaging it with disease, because all that obesity is that there's an excess amount of calories that end up being stored because your body is not using them. They store them as fat, and then fat, stays there until you burn it off, right? And it's just reserves, and so that's your body preserving that in case you need the energy. And so then, I mean, it takes a diligent effort, and eventually, the chemicals, the food, and the various other things, they shut off the natural response that comes from your gut, right? Which some I've heard some people refer to it as because there's a brain in the gut. They say it's like having brain damage of the gut brain, right?
Yeah,
And
right. Yeah, there are neuroreceptors in your stomach.
mhm.
So your brain, your stomach does think. It seems like it has a one-track mind, though. It's only interested in feed me.
Right, right. But in reality, but in reality, this is where a lot of times are what they've done is most medications on some level, what they do is they treat the symptom rather than the cause of the actual uh, disease, right? So by treating the symptom, right, we want the pain to go away. It's uncomfortable, right? Like a child gets a fever, and
I could
we're
use a cough drop right now.
what do you use what right now?
A cough drop.
Yeah, yeah. Well, obviously not cough drop. In this case, that's not gonna kill you, right? But for the most part, you take kids, like, a fever, when you get a fever is fighting a disease in your body, right? So when you get a fever, it's uncomfortable, but it's serving you, actually, right? And so a lot of times when we have pain, you know, our first reaction is to numb the pain. And that's an unfortunate consequence or that's an unfortunate reaction, because what we should really do is use the pain, because the pain is our body communicating with us to tell us something is wrong. So you have a phenomenon called a tragic calm, right? Now, a tragic calm, an example would be, um, I knew an individual who he got a hernia, right? And the hernia basically is when the a part of the intestine pops through the muscle, and it was so painful. He was in a constant state of pain, right? And he didn't get it fixed, and then eventually it stopped hurting, and so it stopped hurting, and so the thought was it healed itself, right? And that was a lot of times what we think. It's all better now, but in reality, muscles, what they do is when they're torn that way, they'll heal, right? So they pull together, they kind of, they tighten up, and they heal together. So what ended up happening is it cut off the intestine and severed it, and basically he was septic and he died, right? But he died pain free, right? He wasn't in pain because he had no idea, because he didn't feel it anymore. And that tragic calm is kind of what's, I see indifference as now, you know, and that's why it's a balance, right? So we're kind of playing the role of pointing out things that are happening, and these things should hurt us. Our heart should break when governments are voting to kill babies born alive. There's something in us should react. We should feel that. If we don't feel it, to me, that's like a tragic calm. Here it is. Our body is septic and we don't even know it. So we're dying and we're not doing anything about it. So we have to pay attention to things that cause us pain. We have to pay attention to things that hurt us, but not so much attention that they consume us. We want to pay attention so that we can heal these things and change them. And that's the reality. And the human body is a perfect example. I mean, everything going on in the body, or everything going on in the world reflects in the body, you know. But the reality is, we're the source, right? We're the source.
Yes, that is. We're the source of healing the body also, through the actions we take or don't take. You know, it, change in your thoughts, change in your how you act. You can do a lot to heal yourself, move forward. So when we're talking about things happening within the government, like them, allowing for children to be born and then going ahead and executing them, this is something that we can think about and then take action against. Now, in this case, there's some serious things to discuss, but at least Trump is there to veto that. So
Yeah. But in your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine that the only thing keeping babies from being executed on a regular basis in the United States was going to be Donald Trump, right?
yeah,
It's an amazing phenomenon. I mean, really, it's incredible.
and the ones that voted against the ones that vote against that, we know where they stand. The ones that voted for it, we also know where they stand. So we know what we should do in the elections.
That's right. And that's the ultimate idea, right? Behind the government draws its power from the governed. Now, what we could say, and I definitely, this is definitely true, is that every election has been rigged, right? So our votes, for the most part, for a long time, have been cast with no real power. But that has been changed. The methodology used to rig the elections. So it's such a and the the um the order is masterful at hiding behind things that are true, right, and telling you exactly what's going on, basically. they're making all this noise about rigging the election, and we have to protect the integrity of the elections. The entire government depends on it. All those things are true, right? What they don't tell you is, well, we're the ones that rigged the election, right?
And we don't think you can get out of it.
Right. Yeah.
They'll tell us, in the movies and things like that, what they've done, right? But they won't, but they say it in a way, say, "Was we know you can't fix it, but we can, and we have, and we are."
Right. And that's it's amazing what's going on right now. Like now, so I'm on the Q train, right? I'm down with the Q now. So I saw the
Oh, you've jumped tracks, huh? Okay.
Nah, I've always followed like loosely, but now they're talking about Ruth Gator, uh, or Bader Ginsburg, right?
Oh, yes.
So you look at this woman's history. The real question is, how did she get in that position in the first place?
I know. I had no idea that she was the one that basically was trying to wipe out, things like the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and anything that determined gender. I mean, can you imagine, that this was her writings, these were her decisions, this was her philosophy, what she advocated and went out and did things to make sure that happened, not just in the United States, but around the world. Mad.
Yeah.
How could she be put in that place? It's like, what was Congress doing to allow it?
Right. I mean, her book.
The president at the time that put her there. We already, I guess, who was the one who put her there? I don't even know. She's been there for a while.
I'm not. She's been there since like the 70s, I believe.
Was it the Clintons or was it Carter?
I guess. Oh no, she was. Yeah. It must have been. It must have been Carter. I'm not sure. No, but it's been a long time. I mean, the book she wrote was in the 70s. Though. Let me correct myself. She wrote this book, and she basically said that, you should take the statutory rape age, right, the legal age of consent, down to like 12 years old.
Yeah.
Right. So she was basically trying to make, a time when a child is a child, right, and make that the acceptable time that child has the ability to consent to whether or not, that, if an adult, imposes their will on a child, because a 12-year-old, they still do whatever you say. They don't know. I have 12-year-olds right now. I mean, I can't imagine, them coming home and being, look, I'm getting married. Like, it's like, no, you're not. Like, you cannot get married.
I'll say something. When I was 5 years old, I came home from school and I told my mother that I was getting married.
You break the mold, man. You also had a business at 4-year-old hustling candy. I mean,
I
know.
You're
not the average guy.
That wasn't average. No, it was funny. My mom said no, and I ended up. I remember I actually ran away from home, and where I lived, it was written up in the Guinness Book of World Records. This location, because it's the only town with only one way in and out. It was a bridge and over a railroad tracks down into the steel mill. And just before the steel mill, there was a road that basically split, and that's how you get in and out of the town. But I was actually, walking up the bridge, with my packed, I can't quite remember, but I think I had literally, the towel wrapped around my stuff with the stick.
Yeah, you had like a bandana on a stick with like like 2 sandwiches from your mom.
Yeah. And my mom running up the bridge to catch me, right? But anyway, my intended at the time actually moved away about a year later. I remember.
Your betrothed.
My betrothed, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, but there was any sexuality in that? No, not at all. I but it's obviously I was aware of the opposite sex, but there was nothing about sexuality in it, right? It wasn't even about kissing or anything. It was just a friendship kind of thing. So, but it was actually I should call my mother and ask her if she remembers that. I haven't thought,
Yeah.
a long time. So, I, anyway, so I don't know, yeah, the little side trip there, but yeah, to bring us back over, we can go back to where Q is because this is also the time frame where it's the 21st for me, but it's not the 21st for you yet. So 21st is the countdown date, but there does seem to be some Q posts that have been put up there that kind of possibly add a couple of days in there, but maybe not. It's hard to determine, because when these posts are put out, you can guess it they mean this, or you can guess it they mean that. But the 20 plus 21 in brackets, and there's a +2 and a +4. That's an additional 6 days, or that might mean that at the 21st day there's something happens, then 2 days later something happens, and then 4 days later something happens. So we will find out, because in the future it will prove the past. Future proves past. And so
Yep.
we'll get okay, this makes sense now. Again, the predictive programming that Q is using, it's pretty remarkable because they have a lot of these things scheduled out that are 1 year apart, and you have to go to 1 year back from the time of when a post is given. So to have that literally planned out that far ahead, that means even the Bush funeral was known what they were going to do, and they were getting them to expend their ammunition, to come out with these things. So is Ginsburg's funeral set to go? Are we going to see Washington shut down for another week? While Ginsburg's funeral goes on. I actually had found a death certificate in the Washington D.C. records for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I posted it on my Facebook.
When was it? When was it from? Like recently, or like 10
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago?
No, from now. Yeah, just like
No.
I posted it. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's still on my Facebook page. Uh, and it's um, is it real? I don't know. I just went by this service that had it listed there.
Well,
Kind of,
in the physics of infinite realities, I suppose it's definitely real. Um,
of
you know,
course,
right?
that's everything is. Yeah. But in what we're in our timeline and things that are progressing, it'll be good if they're forcing. If you want to force the other side to use their ammunition, and Ginsburg's funeral is going to be one, but that's a two-edged sword for them, right? They're causing a delay, right, from something traumatic to happen to them by putting out Ginsburg's funeral. But that means also the next Supreme Court justice is going to be chosen, and they lose more power.
Well, and plus, I mean, I've never seen a worse debacle than the way they handled the Kavanaugh case. And or not, it wasn't a case, excuse me, the Kavanaugh uh, Inquisition. Where they
They're
where they
pretty much,
were
Inquisition, yes.
where they were making such a big deal about something that there was no corroborating evidence. There's so much evidence to show it wasn't true, and it was, it really speaks volumes to people that in my opinion, should have disturbed us a lot more, because if you looked at the way the conduct and demeanor of um, uh, the cabal from the deep state on the Democratic side, which I could care less about the parties. I mean, we both know,
Yeah.
everybody should know at this point that
Republicans.
yeah, the Republicans, right? Exactly. It doesn't really matter what the political party is; it's the agenda, right? And you can see with Cory Booker, who is, I mean, in New Jersey, it's not a secret that Cory Booker, you know, is not who he says he is. Okay, and and between Cory Booker and all these other characters who are like, applauding the incredible testimony of the woman there. I can't remember her name now, but and she actually worked for the CIA with people from MK Ultra, right, to prep them. And she used to prep people on how to beat lie detector tests. So it's like she was the perfect candidate, right? She had all the training, but we don't want to talk about that because that's a conspiracy theory, right? It's like, wait, that in any other uh, court of law that you were actually considering things, if you had all that experience and then we take your story and the timeline doesn't even match up, right? There's not
Right.
even you're talking about a store that existed where you went after this event took place, but the store didn't even exist the way you described it. It had been changed, right? So the story does not even match up. Everything about it. Now, that's obvious, right? Now, that's why he got confirmed. But what about the criminal acts, or even from the standpoint of how do you have people who are representing us, right? Like, like the person you decide to put out in front for you really want them to really be sharp and know what's going on, right? Like this person is our voice. So everybody in those communities should be like who these different senators represented. They should be like, wait a minute, we voted this guy in, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's because later on they're going to take that same event, right? And they're going to make it seem like, well, I stood up for women's rights, right? No, you didn't. You stood up for a coup to try, to acts of treason to try to bring false accusations against a, a federal judge who'd been around for 30 years, no criminal record, nothing against him, you know, and
Well,
he tried to demolish his reputation.
well,
Like,
yeah, it was an illusion, right? They just created an illusion and tried to make people believe it. Well, there's another illusion that we can talk about that is looking like another false flag that was also just a production. We talked about New Zealand yesterday, right? Well, it
yeah.
looks like that the gun that they were showing, that gnarly gun, right? That they put all these white drawings on to make it look like focus on this, and then they show the video of this gun firing. Apparently, they've got some video showing this, and it's been analyzed, and now it's not confirmed yet, but it looks like it. What's happening is as this gun is firing, the brass cartridge, right, from the bullet is expelled and then disappears in midair, and, and none on the ground, right? So it's going firing and firing and firing and firing, and these things are all going off, right? But none are hitting the ground. They're not there. In fact, they're just disappearing. So it looks like it was just hoaxed, right? Another false flag that the deep state put together. And look at all the writing on that gun. Why did they do that? Was to
Who would do
focus
that?
people
I mean,
on the gun and say,
right?
look,
Why is it that everybody who seems to be acting violently because of President Trump is acts so stupid? I mean, like the guy they were trying to say was a Trump supporter, so he goes out to I, to go after I think he went out to kill senators or something like that with a van covered with like Trump bumper stickers, right?
right, right.
Like he's a football fan, part time, and decides, I want to tag up my vehicle with Trump paraphernalia. Then I'm going to go kill some people, because that's the methodology that any logical human being would use. I mean, come on,
And
like,
he just did it too. Like he wanted to be like all pretty and dolled up for it because they're all new stickers.
yeah,
Nothing was worn out from the sun. Fading all those stickers. No, it was fresh.
right,
So now the anons are digging into this stuff so quickly. That's why we found out. It's like instead of just looking at this gun footage, right, and accepting it, someone dug into the footage and say, okay, where are these cartridges going? And they're not landing on the ground. So
right.
They used to just,
That's
put
amazing.
this stuff up. They go out in front of CNN, right? Put up a green screen and put some actors out there and go, cry about something. And say, oh, look what's happening. It's all wag the dog stuff. They said what they're going to do to us in the Wag the Dog movie, and they've been doing it. They've created productions. It's all part of extension of Project Mockingbird. For them to take over the movie industry and television. That's why everyone gets their 3 a.m. talking points. This is the things and words you're going to say, and they repeat it word for word on every channel. Every one of the talking heads is saying exactly the same thing. That's how you know it's not real. They're all repeating exactly word for word what they're supposed to be, what they're told to do. So now the anons are digging in, and they're putting it to shame. This stuff is laughable. I need that cough drop. I need to mask the symptoms.
Yeah. So, yeah, the massive symptom, right? Well, yeah, it's amazing though. It's because even in the world we kind of exist in, they're still very successful at putting us into putting us into groups, right? Like social media is really, it's a DARPA lifelog thing, right? And designed to, like you said, designed to gather all our data. But then they had social media, and it speaks back to what Willie Lynch said on the banks of the Mississippi. Look, if you do what I tell you, they'll enslave themselves for 300 years willingly, right? Which that's the scary part, right? Is that these things have become such a part of our culture that we don't even value privacy anymore, right? People will go on and you get a couple thousand people who you think are following you or your friends on Facebook, right? And now you're this little mini celebrity, right? And then you think that everyone's tuned in for you to share every detail of your life, right? Remember, like the trend for a while was like people were sharing what they had for dinner. It's like, really? Like nobody cares. Like that, you know, we have better things to do, right? Or we should have better things to do, right? And
I
then
had tilapia.
did you photograph it and put it on Facebook so all your fans can follow,
Yeah,
comment?
and the garnish, and no,
Yeah,
but the cats were happy.
ah, that's good. That's good.
They get the leftovers.
Yeah.
They're really happy with it. They go
So
crazy when there's fish.
yeah, so all these different things, they take these groups on social media, and this is happening with Q, and to their credit, people are aware, but you know, even within that, they're blocking where that message goes out, right, where it's shared. So you can see very clearly. You can go into somebody who's got has a different political view than you, and you'll see that their messages are not being shared on your page, right? Like you're not going to see them, even if you follow them. They're not going to be shared because their view is different than yours, right? So the illusion is that hey, we have this really strong voice now in this very limited sect, right, of a couple million people. There is a really strong voice, and they all reinforce and believe in what the other ones are saying, right? So it's like if everybody is a Billy Joel fan, we're sitting around talking about how great Billy Joel is, the chances are pretty good that there's not going to be one random person saying why. I don't even like this song, right? But because that person wouldn't be there, right? So it's the same that happens, right? They got us all lumped in, and we're all venting about one. Everybody's venting about one thing or another, and that's how they bowl us together. And then we're all going off on these different things, and the messages sometimes are very, I mean, really intelligent and sharp commentary, and they bring up great things, but I just question how much they actually spread out beyond the bubble, the new bubble that we end up creating.
Mhm.
And and I watch this with the GCR, right? Because inside of the GCR world, it's very hard to break that bubble. So to expand, a new perspective, right? And this all speaks to the collective consciousness, which is really, I mean, that's kind of what Tui's been talking about too, right? The raw collective and the czar collective.
Oh,
And
I did send Tui our link. So he's welcome to jump on anytime if he's watching. Hello to you.
Yeah. So, but what I was thinking is that, they're trying to control our energy, right? With social media and all these different platforms, and pounding us with the same messages, because the mainstream media's message goes out well beyond that bubble, right? So
Mhm.
they can influence a much larger crowd
Well,
than social media that's limited.
one of the interesting things that came up yesterday, I was on one of the videos I was watching. They were talking about the executive orders that Obama signed. One of them basically allows for the president to take over the social media in times of emergency. I don't think they intended for it to be Trump that would have that power. Now, of course,
Right.
for him to
And I
exercise that, it would
and
be an
I
extreme position, for things to happen. Like, let's say, 82,000 of sealed indictments unsealing in the next couple of days.
right.
That's
That
another. Someone sent me a video where someone was doing a prediction about that. So, but I haven't seen signs of that. But it's good that I think we're going to see these things unfolding soon. Maybe it's a couple on the 21st. Maybe 2 and 4 days later, something else. We'll come out with more, but we'll see.
Hey,
I would like
I
to.
hope so, by the way.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
sorry, the people at Seavine that are the ones that are covering the military tribunals. They put out Red Pill 76 put out a video, and they did an interview with them. But now it looks like what's happened is they're messing around with their bank account, and they broadcast it. They said, "Look at what's going on here." They only had like $900 in donations coming through PayPal for what they're doing. But when they went to the ATM, it was saying, "Oh, they had $11,000 more." And then they went to another ATM, and they were up to $42,000. And they kept going, and they went and complained at the bank, and the bank blamed PayPal. PayPal blamed the bank, and no one's taking responsibility, right? But every different ATM they went into, they're showing this. No, they contacted one of the people they know in the government to let them know this is going on, and they said it looks like there's a massive amount of money laundering flowing through that account. So they're going after those people, all right, by creating
Yeah.
the scenario, all right.
What's funny about that is I was to learn the business for a while. I was helping broker some deals, right? And I was just kind of going through the process with them to see how they did it. And I watched them, and brokers are, they're always holding out for this big commission. And in Europe, they've shown this. I mean, they just the what is it? The president of Deutsche Bank stepped down, or whatever it was, CEO. And when he stepped down, he admitted that he knew 95% of the transfers, 95% of the transfers were fraudulent, right? But they would $42,000 certainly wouldn't be a massive amount of money laundering, because they were guilty of billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars being laundered, because they were trying to move this money that's off ledger, which they didn't have access to, but they have a ledger that they recorded on.
Well, they had a different amount going through the ATMs and going to different ATMs, and then their social media accounts were blocked only on their devices.
Really?
Yeah.
Which kind of defeats the purpose of social media, right? If
Right.
you can access your own
And
account.
people and their families are in the same Wi-Fi or whatever. They're all accessing theirs, but theirs, they have no connection. So they were definitely messing with those people. Now, for me, that means we need more citizen reporters doing this.
Yeah, and I agree. So I think so. Like you always talk about this. Social media is a two-edged sword, right? It's the Tai Chi practice of pushing hands, right? Pushing hands, you're allowing your enemy to. All you got to do is press back on the person when they try to press towards you, and you'll knock them over. Or when they go to press towards you, you just kind of let their energy fall into you, right? And then they still fall over. But either way, you're using their energy against them, right? So it's all about timing, right? And it's all about knowing when to give and when to push back. So that's the balance.
So Tui has joined us with another view of Fiji greenery. So Tui, welcome. Yeah, he muted himself, so but you're welcome to join in.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Tui.
Hi, Tank. How are you?
Wonderful, Tui. How are you?
Same. Wonderful indeed.
Good.
The show was really good today. I was following you guys from the start, talking about the quantum system. Yeah, I know. Sometimes in the future it will become more clear to everyone on what the the quantum system really is, and how everyone on the planet is connected to it. And which is which is why it's really important on the role of the trust right now, and the role of Kim to get that awareness, to give that awareness back, and to remind everyone on the their sovereignty. And so you guys actually talked about it on the start. And so the quantum system is very, very advanced. Just like what Dan you're reading, it doesn't work on electricity. It doesn't. It is the same life force that is in within everyone, within us. And so, if everyone would be able to connect within them, they will be able to connect to the quantum system, and they will be able to understand the role that they have to play. Even though we are individualized all over the planet, we'll know exactly where we are, and our soul agreements to be where we are. We're supposed to be there, no matter where your ancestors comes from, or wherever you may think all those kind of doubt that sometimes you don't feel you're supposed to be where you are right now because of some other external reasons, maybe in the past. But right here, where you or wherever you are in the world right now, you are meant to be there because of your soul agreement, and that's what your DNA plays in that moment in time. And so we all have our roles to play, and I'm happy you guys are discussing it because it's all these things that indifferent right now. In the future will become all one, and then as we move forward in time, it will become more clearer and clearer, and people will figure it out on their own. And yeah, I'm glad I'm here. I'm actually like we're talking and we're part of it, and we're part of this change. Yeah, so I just want to thank you, Dan, thank you, thank both of you, and I thank you for I thank everyone that's listening live or is watching live on YouTube. I thank you guys on the live chat. Yeah,
We even hit over 200 people watching, so it's the first time we hit over 200.
Sounds it's awesome. It's good. I'm thankful to Kim and the team on the announcement that Tang just made on the launching of the quantum system, and the success that they've gained. And I know she's doing all she can and all she's capable of doing, and all the understanding that that's the reason why she was chosen at this time for this transition. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful to them and the team, and whatever role that I will need, our people need to play, I need to play. We will come in and actually, if given the chance, we'll play to the fullest of our capabilities. And I guess I just gotta say that. And I thank you so much. Thank you both.
You're welcome, Tui. Yeah, thanks for your participation. This is a actually great energy flow. I'm glad we're doing this. This is we ended the series. GCR the big lie, and now like I just put this one, the quantum financial system launched. So, tomorrow I have quantum financial system plus T plus one. So we'll see where we go with the series. I'm talking about the quantum space, but these are our nowadays terms to talk about something that has always been there. The quantum wasn't invented. It was just we've had different words for it now. What Kim's article she put out there, she was talking about the God particle, about
Heisenberg.
how to access creation. But creation has always been there. We're just putting words to it so that we can have a context to have a conversation. And when you think about things that are instantaneous, everywhere at once, this is also terms that were always associated with God, with the source, right? And so we're just all talking about more the spiritual side, and you're really the lightning rod for for the spiritual side of this, right? To bring us a focus to the understanding of where we were in the past, right? And you have in Fiji have learned to maintain that, right? So
I guess, yeah. Thank you, Dan. I guess just like what I said, the planet and all these agreements is the most advanced technology that people they've never thought of it. They will never know it until a time comes that self-awareness within them will give that. Just like what we're doing right now, we're talking about it. We are getting that awareness back to the consciousness of maybe people that are listening right now, and it's coming back to the consciousness of the people, and they will be able to be reminded on the agreement that was long before, more 26,000 years ago, or even before that. Those times were the beginning that we in Fiji we have written down on our land, and so it will become much more apparent or much more clear if when people come and visit, we'll be able to tell them how the beginning started, and then how, because it's the name of the land actually translate everything right up until this moment we're talking. We have it in a kind of way that it's hidden, that it's just passed down from generation to generation, and it means nothing to them until now. Then people start to start to wake up to it slowly. For the past 100 years, 200 years here in Fiji, this was the reason why all this experience were allowed for our tribes to be able to experience commerce, to be able to experience education, religion, and to be able to learn and understand the system that has been agreed. And when the time that is come to change, we'll be able to know what to do, to be able to have the wisdom to change it, and to be able to, maybe if people everywhere else in the world maybe they can't find their way back to figure it out themselves, we will be able to show them the simplicity in what life really is. And I'm thankful for that time. For us in our time, this is what we call Nakorotumbu. That's the time that we are right now, from the 2012 and onwards. Nakorotumbu means, Koro means a place that you reside, and Tumbu means when it flies higher. So Nakorotumbu means when the planet becomes more move into a higher space, or higher awareness, and all this higher knowingness. And so this is the time of Nakorotumbu. in the division in our. If you look at our maps and the names, you'll be able to find it. And in that land, just before Nakorotumu, there's a place called Nalawa, and Nalawa means law, the law. And just before 2017, that was what was guiding the planet, and it was run by law and by the system of the world that like that we understand now, that is just a slave system that we're trying to actually exceed from, and to be able to release and to be able to find that sovereignty within us. And so we already know these things for the past 100, 200, 300 years, and we were just waiting. I was born 1985, so by the time I'm 53, I was 33 last year. I was given the permission to actually talk. So I haven't done much, much work. It is just it's been what, 8 months now, 6 months, 8 months, or the 7 month that is going on right now from July last year. And so this awareness was always with me when I was much, much younger, when I was visited, and I was able to learn how to speak the language of the future, to be able to speak the language of I call it the language of intuition, to be able to learn how to communicate with beings and even animals, plants, because they all speak the same language, because they don't have how we speak language here. We
Hey,
try to
Tui, could
yeah.
you speak to the roosters and tell them to quiet down?
Yeah, sorry. It's the middle of the day here in Fiji, so they are
I'm
just
playing, man.
yeah, they are like doing their role, trying to tell everyone it's the middle of the day. And so so
Just remind him of rooster soup.
yeah.
Yeah. Say, I'm on a call. I'm trying to change the world. Could you quiet down, roosters, please?
Yes. I think they are one with me, trying to change the world.
No, they're okay.
Well, they're speaking up. That's it. We all have to be roosters. So it's just a reminder.
Yeah. So they can pick up the frequencies of the change in the weather and in time on the day. So when it comes, they just express it when we can control it. But when the time ends, they won't do that. And then in the night, in the morning, that's what they do. So they're very receptive to the changes on the planet. So we learn a lot of things from all these, a lot of wisdom from the animals, that they live freely, no money, no illusions like us. They don't have to work. They don't have to, they teach us love. If if you can love them, even if they don't work, even if they don't, they're designed not to work. Dogs, the cats, these are very wise beings that are teaching people on the planet to express love unconditionally. And sometimes we don't, you're not able to see that, and they get affected on the illusions of the people, and they suffer, and they get now even chickens, maybe they are treated like like nothing. We just give them food so they can lay eggs for the rest of their life, and then we kill them at the end. And those times are coming to an end, and so every living things, they will have to be treated as a sovereign. And this is what it means for this change. And we've been treating all our our family in a very in a way that we are the center of the attention, and we try and make us because of the dominion. But we can blame them, because we can blame anyone. We've been treated the same from a higher level. So we're just almost doing the same thing that's been done to us, to the lower expression of the creative force. And it's time to change that, and it's time for every living things and everyone on the planet, humans or animals, plants, to be able to work together again and live in harmony and get that the sovereignty back. And yeah, I'm thankful to be part of the change. I'm sorry, I kind of lost what I was trying to talk about because of the chicken. But
Sorry, man. Sorry.
it will come back. Yeah, so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to Tank. I'm grateful to Kim. I'm grateful to the team that you guys, you guys are involved. And I know there's not a lot of people in the world that knows what you guys are doing. I represent everyone in uh, in that in that gratitude. And please do know that there are people here that actually knows and actually appreciate your acts of love and your work for even though you don't get paid for it because you know that you're fulfilling your soul agreement. Yeah, and thank you so much.
Hey, Tui, I did want to let you know that a fascinating phenomenon. Even though we're looking at this digital representation of the impact of these meetings, right, in the cyber world that we're in, right, communicating across the world, across time and space, right, literally demonstrating, like you said, you're talking to me from the future, right? So, but the impact of the message is really going out, and uh, you know, I tried to bring this gentleman on the other night, and he called me today. He's probably in your chat now, Dan. But he called me today, and he read this. He wrote it out because he didn't want to talk too much. And he wrote out this whole thing to express really what's going on. It's because just to create awareness, right? And I love that idea. When you talk about the team doing something, but in reality, the responsibility falls on everyone, and the change becomes a lot more momentum is built behind a change when more people feel responsible and part of it, right? So I'm big on really uh, taking the responsibility and putting it back on people. So I can't emphasize enough that this is not something by any means that will be done by you know just the people who have a voice on this particular little program, or um, any other program. It's the collective voice, right? It's the collective energy, it's collective acts, the thoughts, the deeds, the energy of all of the people of the planet to shift this thing. That's just how
And
it
to
works. And
thank
yep,
I
sorry.
just in regards to us all speaking together, I posted the link in the chat room for people to jump on Hangouts here. So if anyone wants to jump on and join, and they have a question or they want to talk about something, please join in. So
Hey,
we can.
Tui, you were talking about this the other day, and I want to kind of get a feel for this. So you were talking about how
Keep it going.
the actions of, or the conduct and the words of the people, really, that's what caused the change, right? Like Kim's actions, opened up certain things and activated you, right? And you coming of age, right? These things all had an influence on the kind of the decision of the quantum system, right?
Yes,
To
indeed.
change course.
Yes, because that's how we all interconnected, and so that's why I did what I did today, because of I want people to learn that their intention is the most powerful thing, because that's how they create whatever they want and whatever they believe in. The intention is very important. I mean, you can know something, and you can just think about it, but when you act on it and intentionally create to affect your life, then you are affecting the quantum system in that way. And so I talked about how everyone has to be responsible on to themselves, because they are all connected to the quantum system. And so that's what, like I was telling you guys, was talking about the Ten Commandments is about. The Ten Commandments is just a law of sovereignty for the people to realize that the awareness within them is the essence of everything, is what is everything, and they are everything. They are the planet, And the first commandment in my language, it says, for like in English, love, thou shalt not have any other god before me. In English, it's a commandment. In our language, the me is a word that refers to self or to within you. It's called au. Au is the representation of me, and so that's what the English people, I mean the people that actually translated from the original language, they translated from the word I am. The I am is the I am that everyone is, and the I am is the I am. Sorry, go ahead.
We're
Go ahead.
listening. Go ahead.
The I am is the I am that everyone is. And so if you're reading the Ten Commandments, it's actually reminding you of that essence within you. But because you're reading it three-dimensionally outside of you, it's trying to refer to the source of energy that is within you, that runs the quantum system, that runs the whole planet, that creates the reality that everyone is sitting on. That is what that exists outside of them. And the body is just a gift to actually reevaluate and evaluate into sound, into light, into all these things that you have in your 12-dimensional body, and all the 12 senses that you try and organize and try and interpret. And so you get what you call to know something, and to know it, and through time you try and experience. And then when you experience through time, you get understanding. Once understanding is completed and in a cycle, then you have wisdom. And so these are all these are all knowledge that or information that is so important to the quantum system, and it determines everyone's intention. It determines what we're going to do, or what future we're going to create together. And so just by reaching out to you guys on that Monday, I was able to direct and affect the timeline. And because now that we're talking about this, and it's going to the awareness of everyone, people are going to be more, responsible on how to create the future. Because intention is the most important thing. Like I was telling people, I mean that's what when you get married, that's what you do. You create intention and you make a vow. But then you can just you can say that that you love someone, and then you say that I love you in good times and in bad, or I love you in wealth and in poverty, and then until death do us part. But 2 weeks after that, if your wife just cheat on you or something, then you didn't like you don't want her anymore. You revoke that agreement, and that's not how it is. Because once you create an intention, or once you make a vow, or once you make this an agreement, it's a spiritually binding agreement. You binded yourself to every single probability that the future will bring you with that soul or with that person. So if like you should, how Tank do it, you suck it up, take it like a man, and you still love her, because the agreement is till death do us part. And then you have to fulfill the agreement. And so in the spiritual dimension, this is very, very important. That's why intention is so important. You have the responsibility to the soul. So when you do an intention and when you agree, that's how people come and live on the planet right now, because they create intention and to be able to and agreed to come and fulfill life. And so if you give up so easily, and then all this probability you've already agreed to, and just to and just to teach and enable to teach people that, and because this is what sovereignty is. You create it's innate ability to actually create the future. And people has that ability. So just like the day I was talking about cannibalism, and people start they start getting they're so easily just being manipulated by just what they're looking at, or what they are hearing. But it doesn't really affect them, because if they let it affect them, they give that energy, then they are weak. They're not powerful enough to be sovereign and to be able to be responsible on the intention of what they think and what they created in their life. And so this is one of the most powerful things that we have on the planet, and especially as our people, a spiritual being in a physical form, which is the unity of the four elements, and it creates the fifth element that is everyone, that is the life force within everyone. And so it's in the beginning of this show, Tank was talking about how the sanctuary is like how the people that were studying it is just relating to the human body, and then even not just the sanctuary, it includes the 12 tribes in with the sanctuary. It represent one person. It represent one being, especially here in the in on the planet. And so this is a tribe of people that have been doing that, like thousands of years ago, trying to talk about through their life, through their livelihood, and try to talk about a very advanced technology that is the body, so that people in the future, thousands and thousands of years in the future, will be able to realize and to read it and to see it as history. And then if they don't, if they fully understand who they are, they will see that that God is in them. And then that's what the sanctuary is. And that's what the most holy place is, where God is. And so when people see that, and people will understand now 4,000 to maybe more than how many thousands years ago that they've actually put it down and scrap it down into words. So it's a very advanced technology, and it will bungle the minds if you don't understand who you are. But if you know who you are, it won't be you won't be surprised. It's amazing, but you won't be surprised. So the whole entire Israel, the people of Israel, they were trying to portray a message to everyone that is living here now today, for that to be able to understand and truly understand that that agreement or the covenant that was made is binding. Is binding. So every experience that you read in the Bible is your experience that you experience every day. They will tell you, if you do this, you'll get that, or if you do this, you'll get this. You do good, you'll reap what you sow. If you do bad, you reap what you sow. So agreement is in that way. It's not when the consequences comes in and then you try to try to dodge it or try to guise it or try to in reality, when the judgment time comes, it's just the way everyone will be judged, like what Paul said, according to what they do to the body, nothing else, just the body, whether it's good, whether it's bad, and that's everyone's judgment. So that's the lesson that everyone will have to learn, and the intention they use their body with, and the responsibility that they carry out themselves every day, the way they think every day. This is the responsibility that every individual on the planet, to be able to be sovereign, you need to be able to guard them and to be able to control it, to be able to understand it, to be able to use it, and in a way that you express love in an unconditional way that you have to express it. Yeah, so it's quite a broad subject, but it's very simple. You are the embodiment of everything on the planet. It's you can read all these languages and all these things. It means nothing. You are the one. The body is. They're just trying to portray the body in a very different way. And if you don't understand and if you don't know who you are, you'll be lost in all those signs and all those letters and those. It means nothing. You are everything. Because as soon as you read it, you create it. As soon as you speak about it, you create it. And this is why intention is so powerful. You can talk about something, but the intention has the intention has its value. It's just like how I'm talking right now. You ask me, Dan asked me, what's your role? It's like I said, it's gonna take months to actually explain what my role is, because the intention of the role and all that, as I speak, as I continue speaking every day, you will figure out the intention, and you will see the person that not the physical body, is the spiritual energy from within me, and then you will fully understand what like even though I'm having problems because of the language barrier, but I hope I'm I'm actually
No, so you're doing a great job. Just to reinforce what you're saying too, by the way. This goes back to how they've limited or we've allowed them to limit our understanding of what we are as a sentient being, right? So we limit ourselves to we are these five senses. Now, if we are these five senses, then all science is based on those five senses, right? What we can taste, touch, feel, smell, see, and that's all with our physical eyes, right? Our physical senses. So you know what I and the thing that I think is really important about what you're saying is the knowledge of who you are is is so important because if you know who you are, it affects everything else you do, right? So who you are and the knowledge of who you are is what affects how you behave. Now,
Yes.
what they've done now that goes back to the power of intention or living intentional or being conscious of that uh what people sometimes call faith, and people call it faith and they misuse it. They always put the term blind faith, and there's no time in the Bible where blind and faith go together ever. That's a made up term. Okay, what it
Yes.
says is faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Well, based on that definition of what faith is, science discounts faith. But in reality, faith is much like one of your senses, right? That you
Yes.
can sense certain things and qualities and attributes in people and in the world and within yourself, and realizing
Yes.
that in and of itself is evidence of the things you can't see with your physical eyes. Now, what they replaced it with is correlation, right? They correlate certain things. So you could take now. I'm a white guy, right? I'm a white male. Now you could take a black female, or we'll say I don't even like to use the term black, but we'll say a Fijian female, right?
All right.
Now you could say, well, look, a Fijian female, she eats food, and be like, well, I eat food. Well, a Fijian female, she wakes up in the morning. Well, I wake up in the morning. Well, a Fijian female, she wears clothes. Well, I wear clothes. Well, a Fijian female, you
I
know,
thought Fijian women don't
she
wear clothes.
no, no, they have to. So, but
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
we can go back and forth with all the things that I have in common with Fijian females like beans. Well, I like beans, and you couldn't give me enough examples though to where I'm finally like, oh my gosh, I'm a Fijian female, right? You couldn't convince me that I'm that because I know I'm a white guy, right? I know who I know who I am, so I act accordingly, right? You're not going to give me enough correlation to convince me I'm something I'm not. So the knowledge of who I am, right, makes all the difference in the world. And not only that, but knowing the role you're playing, right? For example, as a father, I act one way with my kids, but even when I'm a father, I'm still my parents' son. So when I'm with my parents, I don't act like a father, like their father, right? I play the role of their son. Like so, if my parents tell me to do something, I'm not like, I don't turn to my parents and say, "You go do it," right? Like, but I might do that with my kids, or I don't treat my children the way I treat my wife, right? There's certain things that I do with my wife that I would not do with my kids, right? So it's important to know who you are and know the role you're playing in that moment, and that's why that knowledge affects everything that we are. That's why it's so important for us not to be indifferent about it, not to be ambiguous. And that's why they're trying to create this androgynous role, right? They're trying to introduce sexuality to kids in a time where it's not time for them to know that. They don't need to identify what their sexuality is when they're 9 years old. It's not relevant. They shouldn't be active in that way. It's not time for it. So it's important to know the time we're in, and this is all because we're like, Tui keeps talking about we're here in the flesh, so to speak, right? And this is just an expression of spiritual things that are energetic things. That all that happens first. So by the time we see it, it's slowed down into time and space for us to appreciate the creative process. And that's why I think this moment in time and all these things happening, they're so much bigger because they're an expression of the greater energy that is moving that we can't, see with our physical eyes. And speaking to a much, much bigger change in the world that's been happening, in, I don't know, I guess alternate dimensions and timelines, and just really kind of manifesting here now where we're at.
Yeah, it's true. And like to that point, Tank, because that's what sovereignty is. That whole point that you just said. That's what, like I said the other day, sovereignty is not a very simple word. Sovereignty is, if it's to be returned to the people, or for people to be able to remember them. That's what it is. They have to just remember who they are, because it's never taken away from them. They always have it. It's the life force within them. The only problem is the physical level tends to forget, and then sovereignty is gone and it's given to other power. So that's why I talk about is I mean, that's the role that I play, to be able to physically uh, uh, tell, not just tell, but affect people. Then, and I'll tell them, I put them in their mind, and then I'll physically go to them and tell them that they're sovereign. And then all these things means to be sovereign, to be able to be responsible of, and to be able to know who you are, and to be able to see that you have all this creative energy and how to use it. And don't be weak, don't be afraid. If you have fear, sovereignty is given outside of you. And if you don't like, if you don't know that, then if you just listen to all these things and perpetuate all these indifferences that's going on in the world, then you're giving that sovereignty away to this power. And it's that simple, because that's why it's really simple. That's why it's so hard for people to actually remember who they are, because they're concentrating on politics, they're concentrating on all these things, but they don't know that when they do that, they are giving the power away from, they are giving the power to that source. They can just tell you, okay, you vote for Democrats and you vote for Republicans, and then people will fight against each other and all that. But actually, it was just a system they create, and if the world still runs on it, people will just keep fighting and all that, but it'll never change. And if people just stand still and realize the sovereignty that is within them, all those things will just collapse. It will just, it will all be relevant. They will see that they're just human beings that live, they have the same, like you said, we have the same needs, same wants, we sleep the same night, we eat the same food, and we do the same exact thing every day. We love our children, we love to do these things. And all these illusions, because we forget that sovereignty within us, we get lost in them, and we start killing each other because of religion and all that. All these other illusions. We have this shooting in New Zealand. We just had that video. He shot them like they're nothing. Because maybe he had the grudge, or maybe he's been controlled, or it's been a controlled situation, so that it can affect the probability of the future. When these people, the Kapal, they also understand all these things. They understand the truth really well, and they know that the time is coming to an end from that. I wanted to talk about it maybe another time, but it's really simple. If you look at the planet like a clock, if you look at the whole planet, and you have the North Pole as the center of the planet, and you have the South Pole all around the planet, like a plate, like how people are thinking about how the planet is flat. And if you look at how time works in every 26,000 years, that's how the energies of the planet works as well. And so you'll have all these countries that will lead their DNA will be the most sovereign one on the planet, and will it move on. And this is the reason why they came to America just a few years, when the Masons, they know this, the king and the Great White Throne knows this. That's why they come to America, because it's America's time. And now that in 2017, it's coming towards the Pacific this way. It's and the elite, they know this. Even the dragon families, they understand it. And that's why, like I said, it's a new beginning. It's a new change, and it does not only happen here in this planet, but even to the future. And that's why there's so many people that call them ETs and extraterrestrial from the future are coming to his timeline to try and help, or even some of them try to intervene in it, and it was not allowed, and that's why the peace treaty was signed, and so that nobody intervened, and let everyone just self-regenerate, self-realize, self-aware, to be able to learn on their own, to be able to be sovereign on their own. Because if you are helped, then you will lose that chance to learn and to regenerate yourself. And so, like I said, the role is as we talk and we talk more about it, it will become more apparent and more clear. And that's why I'm always thankful for the chance to actually talk about it. I can go into details on the how it works and how the clock works. That's why you have the ZA and the Ra Confederacy is time now. That's why Kim has the most sovereign expression of the gene right now on the planet, and the trust and the AI recognizes that. It even recognized that even before 2017, even before 20. Even before in the 70s, in the 80s, they tried. They already know they already know who she's gonna be, and they tried to manipulate her in certain ways. But the soul agreement is different. It's these are like, that's why I'm talking. These are very advanced technology. It will become more apparent and more clear in the future. Because even for me, there are some things I don't have words for it. I can't even explain it, because even to say it in words, it's wrong. You shouldn't express it in words. That's why, like, if you're listening to me, it's so good for you to use intuition. Don't try and understand me according to the logic or things that you learn in this life. It's not gonna work. If you're listening and using intuition, you will understand the intention of what I'm saying, and it will take a few days, few weeks to be able to explain it in words, the expression that I'm trying to express. And so, I'm thankful for this chance. I'm truly thankful all the time. I will say it out, because that's one of the expression that that we must share, and to be able to share that love, even by words or by intention or by work, and it's gonna grow in that way.
Hey,
Well,
Tui,
thank you. Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
I think it's I think yeah, yes, thank you too. I'm sorry not to be grateful, but I want to really hone in on that point you just made. Talking about the natural rhythm and flow of the timing uh of the universe, of the planet. You can see it in the seasons right now. Everybody should be well aware that we're coming into the springtime, right? Now the springtime is the resurrection. So there's no more appropriate time, right? When all the plants are coming back to life. Everything in the world kind of, or everything is kind of coming back into life. That would make sense that
Yes,
now would be the time that humanity would resurrect as well.
yes,
Now, to your point, the dragon families, they have taken, and I'm just generically we're using them, but these you know various controllers and the elites, they have used these times and seasons and the natural circadian rhythms that exist to their benefit, right? Now, like, for example, for anyone out there, just to give you a feel for this, now your body is naturally in line with the sun. Now, because your body's in line with the sun, when the sun goes down, your body naturally begins to detox. That's why you should begin your fast, and you shouldn't. They would say you shouldn't eat after the sun goes down, right? Because your body wants to detox. Now, if you just fasted from the time the sun went down, and then you broke your fast when the sun came up, your body would detox naturally. Your body would detox naturally, and you'd be in a more healthy flow with the natural rhythm of the planet. Just as an example, some of the other things is just the way that what Tui's talking about, the energetic flow of where things are. there's points on the planet like the ley lines, right? Where there's going to be a natural flow of energy that's going to be stronger, and all of that is coming into a balance, and they've completely disrupted that, in our world, right? I mean, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm obviously, my circadian, my natural alignment with the sun is really out of alignment, right? And I can feel it. I know that, right? But based on the task at hand, I'm certain I'll get a pass from the universe. Um, but they've used these things, right? They've used these things to further enhance their power and their control. So if their knowledge of these things has helped them and aided them to maintain certain levels of control, we can appreciate that the same is true for us, right? That we can use those same tools for the good, right? And in this
Yes,
time, it's really important to be in line with the planet and
yes,
be,
yeah. That's. I
in
mean,
line
that's
with it.
why. That's why we. It was not like a coincidence that I called you guys last week. It's like even the cabal. I mean, even the people, the Nesar and the Gesar, and people they understand the Ides of Mats and all these things that comes into alignment with it, the planet. And so even it affects everything because it's part of the sovereignty of every being on the planet. And to be able to know that, to be able to be aware that all wisdom. That's why like you have to plant things in certain times of the year, and then you have to harvest them in certain times of the year. And this is what your environment will teach you, and it will teach you on how to connect yourself into and walk with it. So that's quite a good thing about. I mean, quite a good point that you point out about the day and night and the eating habits. And so like for me as a chiropractor, I try to heal people to help people heal themselves by realigning their hormone production by doing that, by just like not eating at night, but increasing the time that they fast, so that they will enable the body to get back into rhythm. And so there's certain triggers as soon as they do that, as they feel the body are doing it, and then they are in rhythm. And so they are able to help themselves and help the body. I mean, the body just heal itself, and they feel so good, and they feel so more energetic because they're in line with the planet. But like you're talking about the energies that is being dispersed in the body. That's the same thing that's happening that has happened in the 26,000 years. So if you look at the body and the energy system and the nervous system as a sympathetic and parasympathetic energy systems, we were just in a state of sympathetic state for the past 26,000 years, and and we have come to a state of rest in 2017, rest and regenerate, and it's a sympathetic state. The only problem is that the cells in the body don't understand what's going on because they've been lost for 26,000 years, and when it's time for them to rest, they don't know how to do it. They continue want to work, they continue to use energy, and this is one of the reasons why the money, the life force, the source of what you call it, the source of life, that because it's part of the treaty and part of the agreement. It's why why the trustee cut money out in 2007, because he doesn't want the sympathetic state of awareness, and like it has to travel down. The problem with us, we have to like, it's not like the body. If the body just innately know when to rest. Now the state of awareness within is a state of rest, and but the people they still want to actually work and do all the same thing they've been doing for the past thousands of years. And and it's coming out in like in all diseases in the body, like what you have, like how all the energies are not used. People are obese, and people are getting diabetes because of this I mean, there's too much energy in the body and it's not used. It's not like before, because before they eat 3 times a day. to be able to, to work as slaves. But now I tell the chief, say, now you have to eat only once a day or even once in 2 days to be able to get the rhythm back of your body and try and regenerate it. And if you can do it for, the whole day with just one meal or like what we're talking about that day, because it's not just that, they're changing the state of mind, and they're changing the state of awareness of the body to be able to get the body into rest and regenerate. Because if they don't do that, then they will still stay in that state of work and slavery, and keep feeding the mechanism of money and all these systems that that you guys know, that are a corporation. They're just feeding money, taking energy from you, like how you've been pledged since you were born, and you're doing that the whole of your life. And so, yes,
I just want
please go ahead.
because we have someone that had joined us, Robert. So
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Tui. Hi, Dan. Hi, Tank. Oh my God, it's been a hard time trying to get on here, but I think I finally got it. Thanks to my friend Rowe.
It's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Same here.
Welcome.
Tank,
Yes, sir.
you want to introduce me?
Sure. This is Robert Allen. He's the gentleman I told you about who was going to he's going to share his experience, I believe. He wrote something to kind of encapsulate this. Robert is he's kind of a creative advocate. He's one of the creators in the Creators Network, and he's out creating awareness with people everywhere in a way that I'm certain most people would consider unconventional. They might not feel responsible to do it, but he treats it very much like a job, in my opinion, but much more about a job that's coming from the heart. So I think that, his perspective is very valuable. So,
Awesome.
Robert,
Awesome.
go ahead.
Okay, if I'm off track, this is really off the cuff. I wrote everything down, so I'm going to try to read it very slow so it's comprehensible and very clear. Just let me know. Namaste, Tank, Dan, Tui. I'm Robert Allen, and Ra to many of my friends, and I am so grateful to be here and sharing with you. Thank you for all of this opportunity. All of us here are at least aware of the old system of control and manipulation and what being a citizen means, how we have unknowingly been indoctrinated into giving over our power to the symbolic eye of the pyramid on the fiat note, debt instrument, the dollar bill, since our births. That law of the land and the maritime law of the sea and everything it involves. We want back our connection with our planet and our creator and the gifts bestowed on us in the beginning. Our sovereignty restored to the land, the sea, us, the creatures, and the plants of our earth. As all are living and alive, we are fed up with being divided by party, by race, by division, political correctness, gender neutrality, and the manipulations done with language and words and hiding the true meanings. We're tired of wars. We're tired of poverty, hunger, religious division, lack of knowledge, all of our true history that's been not told to us, the imbalance caused by it all. With that being said, I have a friend on here. Her name is Cindy, and she asked the other day after the show, what are we going to do about banks, and are we going to print our own money, and how is that going to work, and does anyone have an answer? Does anyone know? So I say, namaste, Cindy. You know who you are, and I say namaste, one and all of our sleeping, half-awake selves. I will do my best to bring some clarity that hopefully reflects what is coming into manifestation. Our collective consciousness has been under attack for generations. The idea of money is so prevalent in the mind that we need to recreate what and how we as a collective view it as meaning and value. We are the valuable earth asset. We are manna. As is our earth and everything and everyone on it. The point is not to repeat the old dragon programming. The whole idea coming has never been done in the history of mankind. So it is essential that we be fluid in our thinking, adaptable in our change, with oneness of mind, and with each other as we go forward. Nothing is concrete as yet. We are manifesting reality together as one body, as Tui likes to say, we're part of the body, one collectiveness, one understanding, And this is what resonates with the creative universal law also within each of us. Yes, that will all be worked out over the process in manifestating, in our creating, in our harmony, in our frequency reset, in our conscious responsibility. This is not a new age concept. It is our soul agreement, our true sovereign being becoming, our true connection with planet and all on it and our creator. I find this word and its meaning a good place to start, a seed, so to speak, for the mind of our being. Namaste means I see you as you see me, the light within you as you see the light in me. By so seeing, we recognize the truth, faith, hope, endurance, patience, love, seated in each of us since the time began. And we move forward in that awareness, that beingness, together as one, as many, to relearn that simple, forgotten, reprogrammed truth within each of us. All will flow from this. These are the gifts our Creator bestowed to each of us within ourselves, so we would know, recognize our Creator within us where it was placed, so it would never be destroyed or lost. It is in our DNA. How magnificent is that? As a wish to be, as it were, when we were children, to end all the pain, the arguing, the blame, the wars, the confusion, all the suffering, and to replace it with love and understanding and compassion, forgiveness. But we became programmed like those before us, part of the problem, repeating the same old mistakes, becoming the very thing we didn't wish to be. But mankind must be retaught the most important sovereign principles again. We have just forgotten we've been sleeping. That what we need to understand to make this change, faith, hope, trust, endurance, patience, love, sovereign responsibility. All of these principles have been eroded away by the previous comptroller dragon, the previous paradigm. And the programming runs deep, and it will want to resist. Not intentionally wanting to sound like Star Wars here, but sort of, Luke, stop trying. Trust the force within you. That time I did mean it. Feel it, be it, let go of trying, and learn to trust. Ring true, resonate with full being, be one with it again. We are not alone, we never have been. That's the illusion. The separation that was created by programming over generations of manipulation by the previous system, matrix, call it what you want, that system, that program, that contract is done. This is our new treaty. These core principles must be relearned through our actions, responsibility, soul agreement with our planet, the animals, and each other's collective consciousness, healing, in motion, fluid, learning, our true connection to God, our loving creator within each of us. And as we move forward, Tui, Tank, Dan, Kim, Thomas, and each of us will share this simple gift with one another, and the task will become easier and the reality manifest. Dare I say our manifest destiny? Laugh out loud, using an old term. So like everything creative, repetition, balance, rhythm, color are the key principles in creating art ideas, new ways to see. This is the message we all know and want heard on the over planet. This is what Kim and team are doing. The understanding and work ahead is up to each of us. Tui, our Fijian priest, and his chiefs that have been so gracious in sharing with Tank and Kim and Dan and all of us will share this more. Thank you. Namaste.
Well said.
May the force be with you.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Really? I say the same thing. Thank you guys for letting me
That's
share
wonderful.
that. I hope that makes things easier for people to understand.
Thank you.
But
It really does.
yes.
Thank you so much, Robert. I wouldn't have said it any other way. It really sums up everything that we're going through, we've been through, and the future that is ahead of us. And thank you so much for that. To take the time to write it down and to read it out loud for everyone to hear it. And like one of our friend Judy is saying that you must post it and you should put it up. And thank you so much, Robert.
Oh, you guys are like, what the thing is we're all reflections of ourselves, and we've been so distorted with programming that we've lost our trueness. Our word used to be our bond. If I said you can trust me, I would follow through on that. That all has been just eroded over time, and we need to get back to that. And that's what TUI is about. That's what everybody on this channel is about. It's not about getting it now. It's not about getting money in your pocket. It's about helping each other and taking the new technologies that come out, anti-gravity, the monorail, over the life force torus energies of the planet, and all the stuff that they've tried to hide from us but leaked out. That's what we should have been awake paying attention to, so that we would be here now, because we all came here in these bodies to do this job. That's all I can say.
Well, Robert, I see you.
Yes, indeed.
I see you all.
I see
Thank
you
you
indeed.
so much.
Yeah,
we
now
have.
We
Yes,
all
go
have
ahead.
to come together. That's the perfect way of, I think, your ratings are wonderful. So, it helps bring us all together. Together we are strong. We're now tying QAnon. Together we are strong.
I'm on board with that. And I love Tank's the Green Lantern initiative. I love the rooster. Praise the rooster. I love the coyote. I love the bear. I love the birds. I love the flowers. I love the fish. I love the sea. I love it all. Praise you. I love that rooster.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Yes. Well, I don't know how I got on here, but my friend Ross sent me the link. So thank you for letting me share that. I'm probably going to sign off and listen to you guys. Hopefully I will join you again if I have something other to share.
You're welcome.
But I don't know.
I'll go ahead. I'll take you off, but you're welcome. Just click the link again. You'll come right back on.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dan.
All right, bye, Robert.
Bye now. Thanks, Tank. Bye, Tui.
Yep.
Bye.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of Robert's one of the many people who've called me where the energy is just people are just absorbing this energy and they're looking for ways to kind of ground it, right? And I think it's a healthy practice to do exactly what he did. There's such a powerful means of expression to put those words out there. And to Tui's point, that the things that are not said, right, the things that are just felt. You'll notice, today Robert called me, and I make it a point that when people call, I always answer the phone, and if I don't, I call them back. And I always tell people it's hard to get me on the phone, but once you get me on the phone, I'll give you my undivided attention. And I just sat there listening to him, and he was much more of a teary mess today when he read it to me than he was just now. But you can feel the emotion, and those are the unspoken truth in the words. Kind of like when Tui, he's talking about lacking the language to express himself. Even those who the only language we speak is English. It's something that's really beyond our abilities in some level to express with just words, no matter how. What's that?
I said Tui just learned English 2 weeks ago.
No, are you kidding me? He just started talking. Yeah.
But out of the spirit, so we're all one. He just well, again, Robert,
That's
thank you
true.
for joining us. And others, the link is there in the chat, alongside the video. You can pull it down, just scroll through, find it, and if you have something to say, please come on and add to what we're doing, because this is what it's about. We have to come together and express ourselves so we can show how connected we are.
Yeah, it's true. You know, I just wanted to. I was listening to Robert, and he was mentioning about technology and free energy technologies. And if you understand, I mean, Dan was reading about the quantum system and the monorail that they were supposed to build, and then they were supposed to run it from the same energy that the quantum system uses. That is the same energy that within us. You know that it's not just I want to share to everyone about it because deeply I'm connected to the system, and I understand how it works and how we can actually use it in this time to be means of transportation, instantaneous. You know, you can just use it with the power of the ley lines. You can travel anywhere in the world within seconds. You just people call it teleport or teleportation and all that. But you can. There will come a time people will be able to understand what that it's not just assets and money that is in the Manna World Holding Trust. The AI is an example of a very advanced technology that comes from the future. And then there'll be a day that we'll be able to harness that, and we'll be able to use, like you just have to think where you want to go, and you'll be there because you're connected to everything in the universe. And it's quite hard to explain it now, but if you're dreaming and if you actually using that, and you can be anywhere, you can create any reality, and you can organize it in any way you want, and you can communicate with anyone you want. So the quantum system is almost like a bridge of from this physical level into the spiritual essence to different dimensions and different timelines from the futures, and so that's why it's the role is to just not just to guide us, protect us, and get us back into track, but to actually teach us the way to be able to truly be free. And like all the transportation, all these use of oil will be irrelevant if we're able to just use our body to travel anywhere. Instantly, you just have to think where you want to be, and you'll be able to be there. And that's right now it's like science fiction, or people they can't imagine to be able to do that, but we have that already here, even thousands of years ago. That's why the ley lines were designed in that way. That's why people were moved all over the world to be able to. People came to America because of all these things. They understood the energies of the planets and how to actually change. And if it is time for that time and space, they will go there, and then they will try and harness the energy at that moment. Now it's time here, and people. I'm just letting everyone know in the world that. That's why it's going to begin again in this timeline, in this way. And that's why I'm here talking to you guys, talking to Tank, talking to Dan. And, that advanced technology that people are looking for will just come, and we'll be able to use that, and we'll be able to understand it in the future. But till the time, it's going to be wonderful. It's lovely to, experience lack, experience, driving and all this experience that we have to bear with, and to be able to get to that point in time, or the now in the future, that we'll be able to can I say, be advanced enough to do that. And the technology is already here, and so even it's the same way as the people from the other side, or the people from down below. How Agatha is, you'll hear a little bit about Agatha. I was talking about them in some of the shows, and even this would be something like red pill in a sense, or in some level. I always
sure.
I call that the neon red.
Yeah, neon red pill. But it's time for everyone to know the truth about how the world really is, and how it's been so hidden from everyone. And if people talk about Agatha, it's like, oh, what is that? And like I see Christian, thinking about how oh, it's it's the bottomless pit and it's under the no, they're beings there, and they already in your timeline. It's like they will be in the future from us, and they already have succeeded in what you're trying to do now. They already done that, and they already using the quantum system in their timeline to be able to use it as energy, and they travel anywhere, and they protect everything on the planet. They protect. They are able to reconnect themselves to the water, to the air. They're able to stop the sun from like they just there's no they can make it no day there, day and night. They just have day, and so they can do all this once we once we reach that potential. In the future, we'll be able to do the same thing on this surface. And I know they are not allowed to be involved, and even talking about them now is is no, but it's time for people to actually know it. So some people, like they're thinking that it's just a myth and all that, but the time will come when awareness, use intuition, you'll understand what I'm talking about. That you'll see the Gatha is amazing. They are one with water. They can. There's no drowning there because water is alive, just like you, and it's aware just like you. Over here, no one connects to the water because they think it's just like an element that it's not alive. It doesn't have awareness. No, but if a scientist studies about water, they will find out that it's a living thing. It's a living being, just like any other person, just like any other. It's same thing as the air, same thing as the land. It's living, and the unity of all these five elements and the heat of the sun, the life force of the planet is united within you, and it's what you, the physical being, and the spiritual body is. And so this connection will come back, and then you'll realize that you are truly the water, you are truly the air. Like I said that day, you are more air than your name, you are more water than your name, and it means like it's not a metaphor. It means what it says. And so it's a very deep lesson that people will eventually try to learn and try to reconnect to all these things. And you breathe it without air, so you'll die. You'll die. It will work, and there will be no person to value air. And so without the awareness, there's no air. And so you need everything together at the same time. It can. So this is what like I meant when the agreement happens in the beginning of this what you call creation, or the beginning of this agreement, to be able to come and live and express love with each other, whatever expression, whatever animal or plant or fish, or this was agreed long ago, and that awareness will come back. And I'm just saying that out so that it will, people will start to hear it again, and because of the program is quite strong, especially in other like the beliefs and the illusions of religion, and they will be able to, if they look within their DNA, the information is all there, and all the created histories and everything that's been fed to them will just disappear, because they will find the ring of truth within them, that intuition that can never, that can discern if somebody is telling the truth or somebody is lying, or if somebody is you can value, or you can actually value that deeply within the spirit, because intuition is what can actually see through the all the illusion that they will try and put up to you. And so yeah, we are in a very wonderful time, and a very beautiful time, and that we're trying to relearn who we are. We're trying to remember it again, and please don't try and ask questions on specific things about when is it gonna happen or all that. You should understand that it's gonna come together, and then it's just gonna work on its own, and you just have to play a role, and then you'll see everything is it will be amazing. But even now, I'm talking to you. This is quantum physics right now. I'm talking to you from Fiji, thousands of miles away, and we are actually physically listening and talking with one another, and we're sharing energy, sharing thoughts, sharing emotions, sharing ideas. And this this was like 10, 20 years ago. It wouldn't be, and people are watching and listening, and you can even join. Now it's, like I said, we're in a very amazing time, and a very amazing time indeed. And I'm always thankful, and I'm thankful. Thank you so much, Robert, for that input. It actually, there was just one point that I want to bring up about the quantum system and what we can learn from it.
Yes. Well, thanks. So, we're into, another 20 minutes before 3 hours approaches. So if there's anyone else who would like to join us, jump on in. Let's expand our conversation. Otherwise, we can start reducing the time. We don't have to go to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And let's give
What time is it there for you then?
me. It's 11:39 a.m. So 20 minutes to
11. Oh, it's 3:40 here in Fiji. What about you, Tank? What time is it for you?
11:40 at night.
What day is it?
Right now it's Wednesday still.
It's Thursday
I
for
see.
The 20th. So
and Chile. So we're on the
yeah.
we're ahead of time. We're
So
16
Thursday. Yeah, so like I said, good greetings from the future.
we're in the future. And the lottery numbers for tomorrow are no. Tomorrow.
So in Fiji, we don't know what it is. Sorry, go ahead, Tank.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I was just thinking. So if I was gonna recap the call, that basically the quantum system is ancient technology from the future that exists in the current moment.
Yes,
that is that sums it up.
Because the problem is the three-dimensional awareness that we have is when we talk about higher dimension, it's not just higher in a sense that it's higher, it's also in time. So it's in the future from us. And we were in that higher dimension. That means in the past from us, we were up there. And then when we came down, we also went down in not just in space and time. We came down to this place, and it's in the past from us, and we're also trying to go back to that past. So it's also in the future. And so it's very hard to explain in three-dimensional linear, like what Dan is saying, linear time. But that simply is when.
Well,
go ahead.
We have something that always existed, but was built in the future, and we're experiencing. Yes. We say it in two ways because we have to express it that way because that's yes. the only way we can start to grasp it. But we have
yes.
We have not. We have. I was just thinking about the movie Captain Marvel, right? And she ends up fighting, against what was known as the great, the great intelligence or the big AI, right? So it becomes, and I was just thinking, we must not give over our sovereignty to an AI, an artificial intelligence.
Yeah, like even the AI is what? Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence would be, it's artificial, so that means it's made by men.
Right.
And so it's it's almost like it doesn't make sense because it's different from what we are. We are not, what in a sense. It's really hard. I have.
Well,
it's not natural.
Yeah.
I like the term that Dan coined. It's NI, right? It's natural intelligence.
Yes, that's natural. That's better. Yeah.
Well, there's natural intelligence, and that would be more in line with what we would refer to as God, right? But then we have artificial, which is we're creating something to put in place of God, and then we worship what we create.
So what happens is, if you say artificial intelligence, and that it just makes sense that you'll be fighting with it.
right, because it's not natural. Right, exactly. I love it.
Because look at the world right now. That's what artificial intelligence is. We're just fighting.
Yeah, it's artificial. It's just none of it's real. Everything that we know. Yeah,
We need to use computers and intellect that is created as a tool, but we
Yeah.
cannot give over to it.
Yeah. So like what I said, like in the movie, artificial intelligence. It just makes sense that you'll be fighting against it because it's not the system is not even perfect. It's trying to like how this. It's the same story from all those movies, from all those Marvel movies that they try and get. It was what was that? Ultron. It's an artificial intelligence trying to trying to kill everyone and trying to. So it's just the same story of fear, and I don't know why people want to go and watch the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Same exactly. Nothing new, but then just a new storyline. And so
yeah.
that's what artificial intelligence is. That's why they're just watching what artificial. Because of what they created. Because that's what they that's the perception. They always want to like satisfy, and they always want they're just looking at themselves. And so in order to come out from the box one day, maybe in the future, we'll change the movie, and then everyone will just live peacefully, and the natural intelligence will just work together with everyone in harmony, and at the end there's not even it's not going to be a movie anymore. So a movie, it has to have that the drama and all that to be able to satisfy perception and move emotion and all that. So yeah, so like there'll come a time all these things will be relevant to people. People won't they will see through the theme of it, and they will understand. They can go there for just entertainment, but they won't be affected by the purely repetitions of the same thing over and over again. But you can view it as like it's a creative. People come up with creativity and how to actually exact same story, but in a very different creative way that makes it
It's still
more
being
interesting.
right? You still have to be responsible when you're going in. Don't allow yourself to fall into a program. Right? Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay to be lost in all those the movies, especially for like kids will like it because of the creative energy that they have. And this is the way they express it, and in the future maybe we can just use it in a way that is more beneficial to them, and not just like looking at it as just entertainment. And then be more meaningful. People will learn things from them. They can
Well,
learn
exactly.
about.
Is now what happens with the QAnon movement, and you have the anons with citizen journalists. When anything happens, they go right to it, and they dissect it, and they determine, oh, well, that's fake, right? It's like, for example, this shooting that happened in New Zealand. I now saw a video that up and
Yeah.
showed that the gun that they were shooting, right? The cartridges were coming out and disappearing and not landing on the ground. So it was just a created graphic to point out the gun, and that's a massive gun. I mean, this is like this gun. I've never seen such a thing, right? And then they put all these words on it to kind of like draw attention to it, and so they were showing, well, we need to outlaw these.
Yeah.
So the content is the programming, but now we automatically now dissect these things and say and assume that what's being presented is not true until we get. So it's to assume that what they're showing us is a fantasy, like the movies, and then it's just another the movies.
You know what? Too, I want to just because I can feel this energy out there, right? And I've dealt with it before. With whenever we start to talk about this transition and really elevate it to um, spiritual, it's a more spiritual reality. Um, I think it's important to kind of point this out to people too. At least from my team, and whatever role we're allowed to play. Um, I'll say I will always look at this that we are building and growing from the roots up. Right now, the reason why I say that is because a lot of times people hear these things and it's so deep for them that it's very hard because people are struggling in this third dimension with the limitations and the rules and the regulations that are in place. And in this reality, money plays a significant part because it's a symbol of the energy that we're using to kind of exist. Now, this process of awakening people to the innate reality that's in them, and cashless societies and all these different kind of greater utopian realities that we can create. I want people to know that I'm very clear on the transition, and I'm sure too he is, and others, and Dan's got amazing ideas, and I know Kim has all types of amazing ideas as well. But we're very cognizant of this that there is first we have to do is just kind of stop the bleeding for people. We're aware of
Makes
that.
sense.
And
Yeah.
I don't want people to think that we're insensitive to that, right? Because we're not all of a sudden going to turn into Fiji, because there's not many places like Fiji, right? And that's one of the things that people they do get stressed out about these conversations, which are supposed to be very encouraging and uplifting. So I take the lead of the Messiah.
All
When
right.
Emmanuel was around, right? Or
All right.
the people usually call Jesus, which, by the way, just means hail Zeus, right? But the reality is, the first thing he would do before he would get spiritual on them, before he would start really trying to empower them with his message, the first thing he would do is he would feed the people and he would heal the people. That's the first thing he did when he came into town. He walked in and he had a massive crowd that would follow him, and they would do anything to get close enough to him so that he would just heal them. And when he left town, everybody was okay, right? Everybody's belly was full. Everybody, diseases that had plagued people for years were gone. All these things changed. That principle, I think, is really important. That I'm certain we'll keep in mind. We
Yes.
recognize that people are damaged by
Yes.
years of programming, abuse, in on some sense. Even though we're putting this responsibility in a sense that we all got to take responsibility, that's true. But but it's a fine line, and I think it's
Yes.
important to define it, because what they've done is they've tried to blame us and shame us and guilt us and make us feel that it's our fault. We are sinners. We are naturally satanic. We are naturally, self-serving. All of those things are lies. So defining the truth is the most important aspect of beginning the healing process.
That's
So
true.
that's why we do this, and that's why it will always go to a higher level, inevitably. But I just want
Yeah.
people to know that we are not going to ignore what has taken place.
Oh yeah.
It's
True. That's true. Thank you so much. Because like I said, the spiritual inside is the same thing is one with outside. So that's why Kim and your team and the role that you play is the most important thing right now. Because I mean, for the past 30, 40 years, people have been talking. It's just illusion. But if without the physical realignment of what she's been doing, it will mean nothing, and it's all just a waste of time. We could have just stopped and not even this show. And that's why the role of Kim is really really important to be able to manifest that into physical alignment to come out. And so I can talk to everyone in Fiji And without what Kim is going to do, it's going to mean nothing. We won't be able to change. The government will all continue that way. And so that's why it's just we are doing whatever that we have right now, and whatever we can do, and whatever we can control, and be able to support her in this manner, because we know sometime in the future, it will come together, and it will become, or will all become one. So we will be able to express that love because of that we have that energy, especially what you have, the money that, and then you'll be able to teach people to be able to learn. And so it's really, really important. And Kim's role is the most important thing right now, and your team, and I know you guys are doing a really great job. And sorry, there's someone on the chat room asking Tank if you can post what Kim wrote up on the speaker on speakproject.net. Dan said it was there.
It's on the Speak Project. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but it's already there. Everything that Kim has written, everything that Kim has said, except for just a couple things when she was kind of there was a short period where she was kind of responding to people on Chronicles, but for the most part, most of her stuff, we posted first on the Speak Project, and then it might have been posted somewhere else when you saw it, but that's all chronicled. All those things are chronicled in order on the Speak Project. So you can go back to November of 2017 when we launched it, and play by play. You could read right through it and catch yourself up in short order. But I will post it fresh. By the way, I'll ask Gunnar who's my the gentleman who assists me and manages the site. He'll
I just posted it in the comment section below.
There you go.
Below.
Perfect.
So it's there. So I just copied and pasted.
That's much easier. That's much easier. Thank you.
Yeah. So no, it's good to post this thing. So we're right at our 3-hour mark. We can cut it here.
Indeed.
Unless we have something else we want to cover tonight.
I have a lot, but no, it's okay. We will do it again some other time.
I want to keep them done around 3 hours. A little. We sometimes branch off a little bit if we're in the roll of things. So let's break it here, and then we can still talk afterwards. But at least we give people a break on the video, and then at least go to the restroom or whatever, and then we can keep talking if we need to, and we'll go in that. So we'll go ahead and we'll cut it here. I just want to encourage everybody, please subscribe. Please pound the like button because it helps in the algorithms, boost this into places where we'll be recommended in people's view lists, and also make positive comments. And please share this link. Even if you just hit the share and go to the Facebook or any of your other social media, Twitter, whatever you use, post this link there. You can copy and paste it. It helps. If you'd like to help support what I'm doing here, then please also join the Kringle Society and get a lifetime wallet fee paid for $10, and then participate in the promotions and get free coin. It's all about us building out our membership. We're at 3.3 million members that have included 1 grain of gold per coin. So that's why the value is up. That's why we're just giving away what, in essence, and just for signing up about what's worth about an ounce of gold. So this is our process to help move things along. That's how I've been involved in this Kringle Society for now 3 years. It's our third year anniversary as of today / tomorrow, depending where you are in the world, the 21st. So we've been doing this, and it's about ending poverty on the planet. So, and with that, I look forward to tomorrow's broadcast, and we'll see everyone tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Peace
I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, Tank. Thank you to everyone that is watching. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for listening in. Thank you, Dan and Tank and Motemanta from Fiji. See you next time.
All right.
Yeah, see you.
Later, guys.
See you next.